Hello, everyone, and welcome to Quest, a journey into true crime and the paranormal. And tonight we are going to be talking about healthcare and how does the paranormal affect it. I mean, we hear a lot of stories about, especially nurses and people who work like the overnight shifts in hospitals, nursing homes, hospice care, uh, just so many different aspects of healthcare. And I mean, you have to believe that somebody working the night shift is going to see a lot of things that maybe that can't be explained. So I'm here at our home, and I'm doing our live sessions here in our home. So if you hear Kahlua bark or whatever, that's the way it is because she runs the house. So anyway, I have been affiliated with healthcare. I do not work out in the field, but I have a few times. And so I am, kind of, aware of different stories and things that go on when in healthcare. So, hello, Crystal. How you doing? Good to see you here, my friend. How's everything going with you? Yes, thank you. Yes, be sure to like and subscribe. And, we talk about a whole plethora of different things. This week is healthcare, and I'll be announcing later what next week will be. We're just going to be talking about everything about paranormal, true crime. We're going to try to touch on one of these two subjects. And not only this, it is, you know, hopefully we can talk about a subject that kind of combines both. And probably what happens in uh, the healthcare situation is, there's a lot of true crime situations going on too when you have these killer nurses or serial killers or black widows that come in, and when their husbands or whomever is hooked up to IVs, and then they, shoot stuff in their IV. And it's always healthcare always has a lot to do with either the paranormal or true crime, because if you think about it, when people are in hospitals or in nursing care, that is usually that's about the last stop that they're going to have before they make their transition or whatever. So if you have some stories that you would like to share with me, I am all for it. I would love to hear it. We can talk a little bit about that, a lot about this. So just jump right in, and we'll be happy to listen to your story. The holidays are here. I know a lot of people are getting ready for that. And, I am one of those last minute shoppers, and I don't know, that's just how it's been rolling with me. And my friend is a mortician, and she dealt with, oh my God, with a black widow, and she killed two husbands. I would love to talk to her, because even though it's scary, I do like to, to listen and to research Black Widow stories. I don't know why, but like Bletch Taylor Moore is one of them, and I mean she had all those. Marie Healy is another one, a Black Widow, and it's just like, to me, after the, like, I don't know, one or two husbands drop dead, and you're working on a third or fourth, and it looks like somebody would say, hey, there might be a little something to that. It was in Baton Rouge, really? Ah, you'll have to send me the name or whatever, because that is definitely interesting. Like even Stacy Castor, I consider her a black widow because she murdered both of her husbands, and then she tried to murder her daughter, and then tried to blame her daughter for her first husband's death. Um, and the daughter was only 11 or 12 years old at the time that the first husband died. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can about with the paranormal and healthcare. I have a story that during Hurricane Katrina, I was having to work on the ambulance on the unit. We were extremely short staffed, the whole area was, and so, we were out there, transporting people from, that have been standing out in the sun for literally days on the interstate trying to get help. And and then we would take them to the airport where they would be triaged. And I just remember the overwhelming sadness of the whole place, and people were just distraught because so many of them, lost everything. I was out there working, and I personally didn't know, like what kind of shape my home was in, because of being in the profession that I am. I had to be on scene, and so it was just a real crazy time for so many of us, and it was just like the feeling. I've never felt it before, and I've never felt it since, and it was such a finality, a feeling of finality. It was such a feeling of uncertainty. And I mean, at the airport they had just like rows and rows and rows, and people were like laying. I mean, they didn't really, some may have had cots, but not very many, and people were just stretched out as far as you could see, of like just laying there waiting to be treated, or wait, just for so many different reasons. And you would go, and you would try to help. So many of them hadn't had water in a while, and it was just a crazy time. And then I wonder what kind of imprint did that tragedy leave on the airport. Now they've built a new airport since then. I don't know if some of the old was incorporated on the new, or they just demolished. I don't know. I didn't keep up with that part. But I was just wondering, thinking that if the imprint, because several people did die there at the airport waiting to be transported to other facilities, to other hospitals, because they would have to fly them out because so many of the roads were, you just could not get through. Now, is anyone that's listening, Crystal, I guess, do you have a favorite healthcare story or anything that you would like to talk about? We have, if you're into true crime, or I really enjoy like when uh, teams go into like the asylums, like Waverly Hills, the Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, just all those, because to me there's so much more activity in places like that, because like I always say, however you are in life is how you're going to be in death, pretty much. So is it because some people maybe with mental issues during life that they didn't really, like, do they know how to you know like to go to the light? Or there are things that maybe they don't understand as well as some other people, just based on you know how that they understand things. So that's just something kind of. Thank you so much, Miss Harper. How you doing, Tammy? Thank you. So is it like when we pass over? Do we all go to a genius level, or do we, just stay in the same mental place that we were in? I don't know these things, and this is why I call it a journey into true crime and the paranormal, because I'm on this journey and I want to find out things just like that you want to find out things. And so what better way can we learn or come up with theories or come up with solid evidence than, just talking a little bit more one-on-one with each other and just find these things out. So that's always interested me, because I see the uptick in investigations in nursing homes and hospitals and the asylums. And I'm just wondering if that is why. Tammy, would you happen to have any healthcare stories that maybe you would like to share? Uh, like maybe a paranormal story with healthcare, or even a true crime story. Crystal said that her sister was a mortician and actually dealt with a black widow. Me, I would just like be so, I'd be like, oh my God, I wouldn't even know what to do. I have Cujo here, a gentleman last week named the Wolf. Cujo, so there you go. Nothing alcoholic, I don't know. Which I guess isn't a bad thing, right? Thank you so much. I got that from this cup from Dina Lally, her shop. And her and her husband actually came to Friendsmith that we had at our home this past Saturday. And her husband came dressed up like from head to toe, full gear Santa Claus. It was so cool. I thought that was so cool. He just walked in and just really set the mood for the party with, and he's like really tall. And so that was kind of cool. So if anybody has any stories, please let me know. I mean, we can talk about other cases that are going on, and just if anybody wants to jump in, don't think that you're rude or anything. I'd appreciate it. Now, Crystal, you're saying that you would love to go to Waverly. That place is definitely on my bucket list. Uh, just the sheer like the vastness of the place and how much and how large the place is. I mean, you would really like to. I don't know how long that you would really need to stay there to to really do it justice, and because they have some outlining buildings and the different floors, and I would say, and then they have the body chute underneath, which I would like to investigate. Now, staying down there or staying inside of the, what do you call that they put the dead bodies in at the morgue? I don't know, the drawer thing. I can't think of it right now. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, about like just staying in there, even for an investigation. I don't want to say I'm a scaredy cat or anything like that, because I do like to think that I'm, you know, that I would go in and be brave and all that. But I don't know, just being in one of those holders or whatever. Does anybody know the correct word? Just let me know. So, yeah, that would be cool to go to Waverly. Where is somewhere else that y'all would like to go? I've seen, I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was Asylum 49 that was like a haunted house, they'd call it. It's half of a nursing home, of a healthcare facility. It was a haunted house, that they was full-fledged haunted house that they did, with the scary and the everything. And the other side of it was a real nursing home. Now, how that they were able to get licensed or all that, I don't know. I guess that's not my business and not me to know. But it was really, I'm just wondering, like, how did they even do that? Because on one side you have a haunted attraction, I should say, instead of haunted house, a haunted attraction, and then on the other side you have a nursing home. So what I'm imagining happened is it both probably fed on each other. Probably had apparitions and things that haunted the nursing home, and then you had probably on the haunted attraction side things doing whatever. And did they like cross and go, and oh, I'm gonna go over here to the haunted attraction, or oh, I'm going over here to the nursing home, because only like a door separated, like the doors like when you go to the hospital and you hit the button and it opens. It was like really only one of those that separated there. So I don't know how that they managed that, but I would definitely have loved to have been there and kind of check on that to see how that, are the entities separate from each other, or they just are going back and forth, or were they on two different planes and they didn't see each other? I don't know. I'm sure that's a big something that could be looked into, and it definitely would be interesting. They have what is that, the, trying to think of some more hospitals that I tell you what I would love to investigate here in New Orleans would be, they call it the Old Charity Hospital. And it actually was open during Katrina, and they couldn't get the patients out or the staff out at the time. And it was really bad in there. It was really bad. So much death and just, it was really bad. They had a nursing home on towards the east part of New Orleans that had to stay open, and nobody could get to them. And they actually had to take the patients out of their rooms because you had no air, you had nothing, and they had to move them outside, and it was a Catholic nursing home, and so the nuns were there. This is one actual that the nuns would take care of them, the majority, and they were actually trying to take care of the patients, and you know, it was sad the way that a lot of people there that they had to die, and then I felt sorry, you know, for the nuns and the staff because they were doing everything that they could do to try to keep, you know, these people alive. And then at Charity Hospital, and then you had no electricity, and therefore you had no ICU, you had no vents, you had, and so, you know, it's really, you know, I talk a lot about places leaving imprints, and you know, we can say prayers and we can, you know, send best wishes and all that, um, you know, but the imprint I think still remains because I think some things are so intense and so devastating. I don't know if the place that where it happens at, I don't know if it ever gets over that. Now I know that Crystal, you said that the 1886 Crescent Hotel has a morgue located in the basement. Now see, I would love to go there. And this was before I found out about the morgue, but now I'm even more intrigued to go. So I think that that would be really cool. You know, New Orleans is, of course, just, you know, we have um, a lot of nursing homes and a lot of hospitals here in the city, and they all have their take on the paranormal. And the other day, a few weeks ago, I was on a case with a couple of other psychic mediums, and this was actually like a demonic case that was there, and I can't say the name of the hospital, but the lady, it's an elderly lady that was there, and the church had come in, and they kind of, from what I heard, they kind of walked in, and then just the priest just kind of walked out because they felt like that they really couldn't do anything for the elderly lady that was having the problem. So you know, we went there, and it was interesting. It's definitely not like it is on the movies. You know, the climbing up the walls. Now there may be cases and stuff. I'm just saying I haven't seen personally any of that, but I just wonder if being in facilities sometimes around, you know, death and negativity, if that feeds into maybe or attracts demonic possessions. Because this lady, she definitely, like I said, she was elderly. She was almost 90 years old, and she definitely had some kind of attachment or even a possession going on. And I remember we were saying, you know, the prayer and stuff, and I wasn't the lead one, but I remember I was just watching her because I knew I could feel something wasn't right. You know, like I knew she had an attachment or something, and she was, you know, they were praying, and I remembered she turned and she looked at me, and it was like we locked eyes, and she said, "He's here now." And I looked at her and I said, "Oh, I know he's here." And I mean, it was to the point where she was saying that something was crawling in bed with her. And it wasn't like a dementia type deal. It was like she would have the bruises and things after, you know, that this would happen. And it was just sad because, you know, I thought of my own grandmother, and you know, I would hate to know that she was having to go through something like that. So you never know, you know, when things like that happen. And healthcare, you know, like I said, especially the night shift, they have lots of stories because I wonder why, you know, because you have the hustle and bustle of the day, you have a lot more staff, you have people coming in and out of the rooms, you know, you have visitors and doctors and the cleaning staff and everything. And so, you know, and then at nighttime, I think that people probably are paying a little bit more attention, and it's not as still as it, you know, it's more still. and quieter at night than during the day. And I think that that's when, because you have so, the sickness and just things that terrible things that happen to people, and it's like I think it draws out more of things, of the darker things, and so it's more noticed than what it is during the day. Now, you were asking here if I heard of the House of Wills. It's a church and a funeral home. Yes, I have. I first came to know the House of Wills, and I would love to go there. And that was on, I think they only did like 3 episodes. I can't remember what, it might have been Discovery. I'm not for sure. It was Tim Wood, and it was called It's Something, It Feels Like Evil, or something like that was the name of the show. And one of the episodes that they went into was the House of Wills. And it really, it has a really intriguing story. So if y'all can look up, if you're interested in it, about the House of Wills, it looks like that Daryl Marston wrote a book about it. So be sure to check that out. I believe he was on maybe Ghost Hunters, I'm thinking. Daryl Marston. I know I am familiar with him, but that is definitely a really interesting place. I mean, it was a funeral home, and they did everything. So caskets, crematorium. I mean, but before it started decaying and deteriorating, it was really a beautiful place, and people would come from miles and miles around to have their service, like to have a service there for their loved one. You're right, Crystal. You said I couldn't put my mom in a place like that. I'll take care of her. And, that's, I understand that. And when people have that option to do that, but everyone, unfortunately, maybe does not have that option. And so it's, this lady, she actually, that I was talking about earlier, she actually has her own home and everything, but as this entity was, I guess, feeding off of her and just getting more prevalent, actually just wore her down. And so they sent her to the hospital. It's more of an extended stay hospital, and that's when it really kicked up into gear. And so her daughter had called us, and we went out there and did some blessing and exorcism there. And yeah, I mean, it was funny. I always think about being in the field and stuff, and how we get kind of, I don't know if the word's numb about things, but that we get kind of used to the paranormal sometimes, I think, and things maybe don't affect us or don't impress us like other people. And I remember when this was right when COVID was kicking off and stuff, and I had to have my gallbladder out. And so I'm sitting there, I'm laying in bed, half doped up from the stuff, and I'm watching Haunted Hospitals as I'm laying in the hospital. And I remember thinking, this is crazy, Yeah, but you're right. The House of Wheels does have a lot of, I think it has a lot of dark energy in it. It says they even experience lost time. Yeah, yeah, lost time. And now you're talking about he left with an attachment. You talking about Tim, or you talking about Daryl Marston? Because I know that Tim had an attachment or something while he was there, and then he went to Daryl. Okay, because I'll have to get that book, because I think that would be really interesting. So does anybody have any plans or anything cool for the holidays? Special trip or anything going up? I would like to go on a trip. I don't really know yet where I want to go, just, because a lot of people come to New Orleans, that's their trip, and then we're like here 24/7. And it's like, oh yeah, we want to go somewhere else, because, you live somewhere and you just kind of get used to everything. Um, does anybody have any cases or anything that they would like to talk about? I'm just like still thinking in the back of my mind, Crystal, about the your sister and the Black Widow thing. I think that is so, so interesting. Because you think either, people that are Black Widows or Black Widowers or whatever, mostly Black Widows. And do you think, like, what's going on in their mind? Do they think they're so smart that they're not going to get caught? You know, because I think what happens is they get away with it the first time, and especially the second time, they're like, well, everybody here is kind of, I'm smarter than they are because they're not figuring me out. So let's move on to the next person. And I saw this story the other day, and I'm sorry, I can't think of the name right now. I'll have to get back with y'all on it. And it was a lady who literally, you know, did away with like, what, 6 or 7 of her kids. And I'm thinking the husband didn't even notice. Like, I guess back then it was easy for everybody to attribute everything to SIDS, that, but this lady, I mean, it was sad because they like took you to the cemetery, and then she had like they had the little tombstones in a row of, I mean, these children were like really young, and she would just like take them out, and they found out like she had the Munchausen by proxy syndrome. And so she would do this to get attention. Now, me, I can think of a lot of other ways to get attention, but, without having to off somebody. But it's sad that we have people like that in our midst, and it's even sadder when we don't recognize or they hide so well in around us that we don't, you think your coworkers, or you think the people at school, and you think like even in stores. I mean, we have to be so careful now. And I mean, and then you don't want to be in this state where you're like scared to go out of the house. And, so you just have to kind of like balance everything out, and realize that, life is scary, but it's also for the living. And that's what we're here to do. You know, we're here to live, and we're here to help each other, and until wherever that last or the next, instead of the last, maybe it's the word is the next thing that we do. So yeah, you're right, Crystal. You said y'all take a bullet for my kid, and I never hurt. You can't imagine, and you think about, I can't think of the little boy's last name, but his first name was Garnet, and his mom, and they lived in some kind of commune or something, and he was sick all the time, and people, I don't know what's going on, blah blah blah, and he would get sicker when the mom would be in the room in the hospital with him. Come to find out, she was pouring salt, like he had some kind of feeding tube or something. And so she would fill, put salt in it, and then they went and checked out the house, and in the trash cans and stuff was IVs. It looked like it had salt in it, and that's how that, that he passed, was because she overdosed him on salt. And what do you say about that? I mean, straight up evil. Mental illness is bad, and it's, but you add mental illness, and that, to me, sometimes, and then you add like negative energies, and when they all come together, I mean, it's not a good thing. And I just can't imagine either. We have children, and and while we can't, yes, Julia, yeah, when he got to the hospital is when that they that they did catch that. And they were talking about, they were interviewing people like in the commune and stuff, and they were talking about how what a lovely little boy he was, and how friendly, and just how, but he was always sick. Well, yeah, he was always sick because his mom was a nut job putting salt, in his, like I said, his tube, or whatever that it is. I'm trying to think of another case. I mean, there's so many, like when you talk about the healthcare, and like here in New Orleans, I think it was a couple of hurricanes ago. I mean, we have so many, you know. It was like Ida. Was the Ida this one? It wasn't this last one. I think it was Ida. 2 or 3 years ago, the last one we had, I think, was Ida. And so the nursing homes, a few, you know, like they'll have the same owner, like two or three of them here will have the same owner. And what they did was, thank God, we wasn't the ambulance service that moved them. Thank God for that. But they took these people in the nursing home and they moved them about an hour or two away from here in a warehouse. And I think what happens is after they did that, uh, I think the electricity, I mean, it was bad and it wasn't properly equipped or the electricity, you know, to handle so many people. And I don't, you know, and so they had a lot of people that passed. And it's just crazy how, you know, people get slaps on the wrist for these things, you know, the things that are done to children and things that are done to the elderly get really shit on about, um, you know, doing, you know, when they prosecute someone and you know, you can think the judges or whoever it is. I mean, it's not right, but it's like the lies is like when you're considered too young or you're considered too old. It's like your life isn't respected or treasured or valued enough as what being a productive, more productive, or you can be more of a use to somebody. So I thought it was very sad, you know, when I found out about those residents that didn't have a choice, you know, into, you know, where they're going for the hurricane and stuff, and then they were all moved. Hundreds and hundreds of them were moved to this one facility, and it's just sad. Um, I know what hospital I want to go to investigate. Yorktown Hospital in Texas. That is correct. What more could you wish for? A hospital, abandoned, nuns that used to run it. Haunted, 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 haunted. Has a huge crater, huge crater from the mines, the land being stripped of all the, you know, the minerals or whatever, and copper, whatever was there, the mine. And it's literally just across the street. So that is a recipe of just so much, you know, like, wow, stuff's happening here. Of course it is. I mean, you have all that intertwined and going. That is another place on my bucket list I would love to go to. Of course, hold up. My vet clinic has a ghost too. His name is Phil. Stuff moves and falls off shelf. Well, there you go, Julia. Have you been able to get anything on video of with this spirit named Phil? That would be cool. Yeah, Julia's done hooked us up a place and not even know it. Ba-ba-ba-ba. See, got an assignment now. Is it animals? And right, I remember last week you were saying that y'all are next to a graveyard. So why do y'all call him Phil? Is that just a name that y'all came up with? Or is there a reason that maybe that y'all call him Phil? I don't know. So you haven't had any experiences yourself? Well, maybe you will. I mean, how would you react if you did? I think it would be kind of cool. Like, you really, I mean, like, when I'm thinking of haunted places, I mean, like a vet clinic, like, wouldn't be the first thing that come to my mind, but I think that's so cool. So your coworker's named, okay, all right, cool. I was just wondering if maybe there was some, you know, like, why it was named that, if it was a reason. But yeah, yeah, you should try talking to him. Hey Phil, what's up? Right, right. Yeah, certainly. I mean, if you feel comfortable enough, maybe talking to him, and then maybe coming back next week and letting us know if you maybe gotten something or whatever, could let us know. That would be kind of cool. I'm gonna give you a homework assignment. If you choose to accept this assignment, that would be cool. So you're alone every Friday and nothing. So when is he mostly, like, when do they say he's mostly there? Is it like at a certain day, or just or a certain person that maybe that he's around, or or do you know any of that information yet? You with the near death experiences, I don't know. Oh yeah, bring some cat balls. That would be cool. Now about the near death experience, did you watch my episode on near death experiences? About was the lady's name is also, she also has a book, Kathy McDaniel, and she went to hell, and she was talking about that. And that's a good book, and if you'd like to check out that episode too, I really enjoyed talking with her. Oh, you did watch that one. Okay, cool, cool. So Julia, you're saying after midnight between 2 and 4 a.m., and I'm taking it that's not your shift? So y'all like an emergency vet and stay 24 hours? I don't know. I just was wondering if there's like a pattern or something there, um, with Phil, because that would be cool if he would like make a guest appearance when you're there. That way you could, come and tell us about it, because I know I would like to hear about it. Now, where is that place? Let me get my bearings straight, because it just came to me. Was it I think it might have been Waverly Hills, room 507. Is that right? Where the nurse hung herself, and people still sense her, and her spirit still walks the hall. I'm thinking that it may be um, Waverly Hills. Julia has been to the catacombs in France. Well, I would love to go there. Was it really cool? Is it like it is on TV, and all the skulls and body and bones and stuff all constructed, and just thousands and thousands of them? I think that would be so cool to go. I don't even know if I know how to act. You know, that would be so cool. I tell you what, Julia and Crystal, the sisters, I mean, they're always going here and to and fro and stuff. That's cool. So it was at 502 at Waverly. Yeah. Yeah. Let's put that. That should be, like a goal for us to go to Waverly 2025 towards the end of the year. But yeah, I think that would be cool to go there and just. It's in Louis. Is the one in Louis? No, Louisville, Kentucky. I don't know. I know it's around in that area, or Tennessee. One of them. So yeah, the Waverly Hills would definitely be so cool. I actually interviewed last week, so his episode will be coming out on Quest probably in about 3 weeks or so. Michael John Angus. He is a firefighter, and so he has lots of stories that about the healthcare and stuff. So it was really great getting to talk with him. And Southern Heat, he's a Southern Heat Paranormal, and I'm really looking forward to the episode premiering. He's such a, you could tell he's a really cool guy, and I really enjoyed having him on the show. Yeah, it is in Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's where it is. Now, what about, I remember watching, I think it was Ghost Adventures, but I've seen some documentaries on this particular one. I think it was at Letchville or something. It was an asylum, and they like took cameras in there. I think it was like in the 70s or early 80s that they took cameras in there, and it was so sad at the deplorable conditions that these people were, they were just forgotten, and and just it was just sad about it, how that the patients weren't even moved for like days, and they wouldn't even know how to walk, and it was just sad. And we can all say, well, we wouldn't do this and we wouldn't do that, and it's, I don't want to ever think that I would do something like that, but it was a different time back then too. They were ashamed of having people in their family with mental illness, or what they perceived as mental illness. And we can talk about mental illness freely now. Like I even said, the Prince William and Prince Harry, they talk about mental illness and how, depression and different things that affect them. And it's really, it shows you how much time's changed. Now, Tammy, you said your grandmother passed away in 1979 and she still visits. Oh, pennies from heaven. I think that's so cool that she still leaves you, the pennies, and you can always remember her and think of her, and I think that's cool when they do leave you things like that. My dad, he passed a couple of years ago, and I find feathers. I mean, like, especially after he died, I like just getting out of my car and just right where I would step to get out of the car, and I'd look down and there'd be a feather, and I'd go over here another time and there would be a feather. So I understand about what you're saying, that how that those pennies, I mean, do you keep them? Do you keep the pennies like in a special place maybe that you have, and just keep them? Or I don't think bad of you if you don't. I was just curious to see if you kept them somewhere, because I kept those feathers, that the feathers that I find from my dad, I do keep them. And then I found out, because I was looking up, like, now what color does this feather mean, whatever. And I found out it's against the law to pick up a feather. You're supposed to leave it on the ground. I had no idea. So I guess if they come arrest me for picking up a feather, I hope y'all chip in for my bail or whatever, because I had no idea that it was a law. You look it up about picking up feathers. We need laws for a lot more stuff, which I'm not getting into, so don't even know. I'm saying we need other things can be more important than going to jail over picking up feathers. So, our past loved ones, yes, Crystal, they do. Thank you, Julia. I knew you'd have my back, girl. Thank you. I ain't going over to jail over no bird feather. Um, says our past loved ones are always watching over us, and to me that is such a comfort, to know that even though I physically can't see, some of my loved ones, just knowing that I have that extra backup, to know that they're still here, and there's still the love and still the concern. And I think, I love it when people have, like they make the little altars and honor their ancestors. And I always think that, is so cool. And, I always say, well, I'm going to do that. But you know what? That's going to be my goal this week. I'm going to make a little altar, a little special area, like for my grandmother and, other people that have passed. And, that way I can honor them. So, yeah. So I do appreciate you, Julia, for not telling on me about the bird situation. That means a lot, girl. Thank you. Thank you. So Christmas is coming up. Happy holidays, however that you celebrate. I think it's really cool, um, that we take that day and honor whoever that the higher power or whatever that we honor. But more importantly, that we honor our family members and our friends, and show some kind of appreciation for what they are in our lives. I think that's really cool. Now, Julia, I'm just wondering, have any of y'all's customers had any experiences, or maybe even other animals? Have they acted like, have maybe that they've seen something or heard something that's not there? Do you know of any stories like that? Because you know how, like, animals, they'll be just like playing and all that, and then all of a sudden they'll just stop, and then they'll start staring and growling at something, and you're like, well, there's nothing there, but yet it is. So I'm just wondering if maybe um if anybody's reported anything like that, like some kind of animal communication with a spirit, or even other, I guess, customers, or I don't know what you call them, people that bring in their dogs, I guess customers. You said they're usually just growling at us. True, 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 true. Yeah. So, yeah. Being across from a graveyard, no doubt, has a lot of, like traffic going on with the graveyard. I used to do some events here in New Orleans. It was a bar out, like, literally right across three graveyards. So anytime that I would go there, like to talk to the manager or whatever, have a meeting, before that they open, I would walk in and sit down, and it wasn't like 5 minutes later, you would hear. I mean, I'm sitting like really close by the front door, and all of a sudden the alarms would go off, like somebody just entered, and the door would close. So yeah, they had a lot of activity there. So I would always say, hey, this bar has two kinds of spirits, right? And then he come back like a minute later. Oh, well, hold up. You said but pets have died and then have come back like a minute later, and it's mind blowing. Like they have had a guardian bringing them back to life sometimes. That is cool. That is cool. So, like, they leave us, and then boom, and then they come back to life. That is so cool. And it's like whatever decision is made, or whatever, it's like, no, your time isn't up. You have more, a little bit more to do here. And Crystal, you Julia, don't tell you all the good ones. Well, here y'all have to communicate through my show then. Is y'all are still doing CPR and no heartbeat, and then the breathing starts again. Wow, yeah. That's pretty cool. I wonder if like they have some psychics that like specialize in like pet psychics or whatever. It would be cool if y'all had a pet psychic like that would come in and maybe like kind of see what's going on. Maybe there are animal spirits there, and that they could communicate and get the story about that. That would be cool. Now, I'm a psychic medium, but um I don't know. I'm just going to be honest. What I was told was, if you read humans, then you're able to read animals and stuff. And I don't know if I'm not to that level or whatever, but I haven't read an animal yet. Like with Kalua, she's spoiled, so I know it's all about her, so that's easy. So I don't, I just, maybe it's something I can, like maybe study or kind of get into later, but I haven't really had that connection. I have interviewed, but not on this show. I'm going to try to get a pet psychic on here. But I have interviewed a pet psychic before, and Kahlua actually was one of her clients during the show that she read. And that was interesting. If you haven't met Kahlua, you're missing out. Um, but yeah, she still talks about Kahlua this day. So she's like, that dog don't like me. So I don't know. But yeah, I think it's so cool that when people are pet psychics and they communicate and they find out like what's wrong with the animals, and that way the animal can be healed or treated, for what's going on that nobody else could figure out. And it, just through spirit, you find out all this stuff. I think that's pretty cool. And I got to wondering, what if this is kind of left field? What if I think that like the ambulance service, that they should maybe do a cleansing, a saging. Um, the one that looks like the Yorkie, Kahlua, that she was at the haunted hotel, the brown looking one. Like ambulances, for instance, or even fire trucks too. Like, what if, I mean, I think that they should sage or something, or cleanse, besides just washing them down like they do, but like cleanse their unit every so often. Because can you imagine just shoo, 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 like the ambulance service I work for, they do a lot, like we have a lot of contracts with nursing homes and hospitals. So we do a lot of transports, but we do, emergencies out of nursing homes, or emergencies from a hospital to another hospital, a psych facility, or to another hospital, depending on what's going on. And and there are deaths that occur in the ambulance and stuff. So I'm wondering, that would be kind of not a bad thing to do if they would like sage it. And it probably would create a better atmosphere, or whatever in the ambulance. Yeah, heighten emotions, because even if it's not, a death thing, just like, I mean, because we transport a lot of psych patients, a lot of psych patients. And so you have that energy that's boom, is in there now. And maybe not all of it goes with a person when they're, are wheeled out of there. And so it all just like stacks up. I mean, I might bring that up to them tomorrow at work. Hey, y'all might need to like kind of sage this stuff. I wonder what they'll do. I wonder if they'll say, "Well, that's a great idea, Misty," or, "Well, I don't know," and kind of like look at me weird. I don't know. I'll let you know though. So it'd be interesting. You say, "Yeah, your classroom, yeah." It does help when you sage. Sometimes I have to sage myself, because just to have a clean, like a cleansing, because we, I, speak for everyone, but sometimes I feel kind of whatever down, or like, so yeah, it doesn't hurt. And or maybe even to put some kind of, wonder what kind of crystal you could use. I mean, I could ask Dina or someone that knows about crystals, and see like if maybe they could put something that would promote positivity, and not just carry on that, all that negativity and all that gunk that keeps forming, and just so that would be, maybe that wouldn't be, maybe I'll be employee of the month. I'll have to try. I'm not gonna, we're having our office, our company Christmas party next Saturday, so I don't think that'd be a good time to bring it up. Maybe I'll bring it up tomorrow. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, I think it would be a good idea. And I think that's a good, that you sage your classroom. Anything, it doesn't hurt a thing. So healthcare, healthcare, healthcare. Yeah, Tammy, if that's just an idea. If you maybe just have like a special little container thing or whatever, or something, maybe your grandmother's favorite color, or something that reminds you of her, and maybe just kind of keep them together as a way of just showing it, to maybe to her, like, kind of a tribute thing, or yeah, something that's something special between y'all, because that carries over, and it's, you know, something that means something with y'all together. So I think that would be a really good idea. Definitely. So guess what we're going to talk about next Wednesday? I was thinking, why don't next Wednesday we talk about cults, religion and cults. Sometimes it has positive effects on people, and sometimes it has negative effects on people. So I was thinking, why don't we just get in there and talk about, I can tell you some of my own personal stories, of how I was raised and kind of overcame what happened to me, and maybe you have some things that you would like to discuss. And it's a safe space, and certainly not a judgmental space here. And we've all been through things, but the important things is us getting past that and using what um, we've learned to help other people. Bobby Mackey's, yes, Tammy, it was, yes. Now, it was very, very haunted. That was one of the first episodes that Ghost Adventures did, was at Bobby Mackey's in Wilder, Kentucky. And I think they tore it down last week or this week. And yeah, I would have loved to have went there. I've seen so many shows, different ones, and I'm sure y'all have too, of it, being investigated. And yeah, Portals to Hell went there. I think that Paranormal Lockdown went there. The Foreman brothers on Paranormal Nightmare on YouTube, I know they've been there. I think they were one of the last ones that got to go. Um, you know, got to go and investigate there. I mean, it's just crazy. So you were approached by a Scientologist. Wow. And you said you should have grabbed a pamphlet from them. That's great. So yeah, let's we want to do this every Wednesday. I had said I had an event, a Mardi Gras event that Catherine and I went to this evening, but we cut it short. So I'm like, I'm jumping on a little bit early, but I hope y'all didn't mind. But I would like to stay at 8 Central Time as much as I can. Nick, before it was torn down, yeah, Nick Groff, yeah, he did. They offered for us to watch a video, and I said, "Hey, y'all, with that cult with Tom Cruise." Well, see, that's funny, Julia, because I was gonna say, you hoping you were gonna meet Tom Cruise, but are y'all that cult with Tom Cruise? You're funny. So yeah, let's talk about kind of the religion and true crime. And there's a lot of true crime that deals with religion and maybe a little bit of the paranormal, but we'll talk about that next week. And I hope you enjoy these live. This is our second ones. I'm really enjoy doing it. I feel like, that I'm getting to talk to some more of y'all that watch the show each week. And I do appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule, because I know how crazy busy that all of us are. And so, for you to do that, it does mean a lot to me. Does anybody have anything that they would like to talk about before we end the live? We were talking about healthcare and the paranormal. If you have any stories, that would be great. I would love to hear them. You know, my grandmother, she was a nurse, and she would talk to me all the time about seeing, shadows and spirits, and knowing when someone would die, and was going to die. And it just always kind of, well, back then it probably scared me. I was kind of a scaredy cat way back then, but I learned to overcome and adapt and all that. But it was just, I didn't, the stories kind of intrigued me anyway. But she would always see. She said you could, she said the main thing when somebody was trying, when they were passing, and the one thing that would happen, she said, and you would know that death was going to be there really, really quick. it wasn't going to be too much long, is when they would start seeing their mom, or saying, oh, there's my mom there, or somebody like that. They would start seeing people who had passed on the other side. Um, so I always remember that. And she'd always tell me too, she would say, like somebody had been sick for a while, and then they were, they would get better, and then the family would be like, well, they're getting better, they're doing better. And my grandmother, she would always tell me, she said, they get better to die. I don't know, but that's what she'd tell me. And then sometimes I do think that you know that's right, because I do know of lots of cases where they're like, okay, they're making a turn, and then the next day something happens. But yeah, the veil is thinning, and it's I think the more that we get going, and it's going to be getting even thinner, and we're going to see more things of the paranormal happen. But I appreciate everyone for watching tonight. Let's come back Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central. And did I say Wednesday? No. Monday, excuse me. Let's start over. Monday, 8 p.m. Next Monday, 8 p.m. Central. And we'll talk about religion, like I said, religion and the paranormal and cults and all that good, juicy stuff there. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to hit that like button, and please subscribe if you know anybody that really likes the paranormal and true crime. If you could recommend the channel to them to see if they would want to join, I would really appreciate it so much. And so we do have a new episode that was just dropped yesterday, so be sure to check that out, and it's really good. It's Jill Mercer. She has a TikTok channel, very successful. It's called the Nickel Tree, and she's my guest. I got to talk with her in person, so y'all be sure to check that out, and I will see you soon. And everybody, I want you to have a good night. Thank you.